Look familiar? Most of us have leftovers like this from our holiday meals, and today we're going to make turkey carcass soup. This simple soup that we're going to make out of these leftover bones and bits and pieces is going to produce a lot of food that we're going to freeze and we'll eat throughout the winter. It's my full belief that embracing frugal habits like this is not only invaluable but also essential to any preparedness lifestyle. Let's get started. I'm sure the idea of making turkey soup is not going to be new to a lot of people. All we're going to do is simply take our turkey carcass and remaining bits and pieces like the neck, place them in our BAP or big R pot, and we'll just let it stew down in there for a long time. We'll let all of that sit in the boiling water for a low simmer for a couple of hours, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, our turkey carcass has stewed down for a couple of hours on a low simmer. I've removed it from the pot, let all that cool so I can manually sift through there and pick out the meat and everything that I want going back into the soup. We're left with a very rich turkey stock left in the pot, and I'm going to go ahead and strain that out before we start making the rest of the soup, just to get rid of any bones or other little bits and pieces that we don't want left in our soup. Okay, we sifted out our stock, gotten rid of any little bits, pieces, bones, and whatnot. I'm going to add it all back into this big pot here. And now I'm going to add some celery, crushed garlic, and I've got a few pepper flakes. And this is leftover soup, and as gross as this is going to look to some people, put everything in there. There's some leftover roasted carrots that were in the turkey pan, some stuffing, potatoes, some mushroom wine gravy sauce. Throw it all in there, and believe me, it'll be delicious every time. Now we're going to get this simmering. We'll get our meat separated from the bones, and we'll start finishing the soup. And just to add a little something extra to the soup, I've gone to my canned food pantry, and I'm going to throw a couple of cans of green beans in there. That'll make this even better yet. Okay, we've got most of our meat stripped off the bones, and you know, honestly, we've probably got a pound or more of meat that would have just been thrown away. At this stage, I'm going to put a little Worcestershire in there. I like to use some poultry seasoning. I think this adds a nice touch to this kind of a soup. You can put anything you want to in your leftover turkey soup. Believe me, I've put old rolls and everything in the world in this stuff, and it just disintegrates down and makes a tasty soup. As off-putting as that may sound to some people, this is all about using up everything that you have and not wasting anything. And you'd be surprised how delicious this comes out every time I've done it using everything but the kitchen sink. I think everybody's in the pot here because I can. I have some fresh herbs that we grow out in our garden. I'm going to throw in some rosemary and thyme in there. Time to adjust our seasoning a little bit. We got salt right where we want it. We'll throw some black pepper in here. And we've talked about this before on the channel, making different recipes, but if you want your soup a little more creamier or thicker than that watery substance there, it's just as easy as taking a package of these potato mixes that we've talked about before. Just dump one of those in there, and that'll thicken your soup up and also add some great flavor. If you have a lot more leftover mashed potatoes than we had, then it'll do the same thing, but because we were a little light on that, I've decided to go ahead and add those potatoes to the pot. Okay, we've let our soup simmer for a little while just so everything kind of melts together. Just going to put a few dashes of Parmesan Romano in the soup. You don't want it to taste like Parmesan cheese, but believe me, that little note that adds to this will really open up your soup and taste delicious. Look at how much food that we were able to create, that large pot of soup, by using a carcass and leftover food. I'll freeze this and package it up, and we'll eat off this the rest of the winter. This is a very delicious soup. It feels really good on a cold winter's night to sit down with a warm bowl of soup like this. Give it a whirl. In doing this stuff, you're practicing skills that our grandparents and great-grandparents used in leaner times, and they're times that I think we're all going to see again. Oh man, that is delicious. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below if you appreciate the content that we provided in today's video. And as always, get ready so that you and your family can succeed and thrive. Package this up, throw it in the freezer, and freeze it up, and which is what the hell you would do in a freezer. I'll freeze the great portion of soup.